Hi everyone, Jem here and welcome back to my creative space. Now today, I've actually been away for a few days with Mr. Jem, as some of you will know, and I've come back and looked at my creative space and it's like, oh my goodness, it looks like a bomb's gone off. So I've been trying to do a bit of clearing up, and one of the things that I'm doing as part of that clearing up is trying to complete all those projects that I've got around the place that are half done. And so today I'm going to finish off. I've got a couple of journal covers started like this one that are made from a grocery bag or a paper gift bag. I think the idea came originally from a video by Eddie Makes Art. I'll find it and link it in the description below, because I've sort of taken his idea and run with it and done some slightly different things, as we do with other ideas. Anyway, this is a great project and I thought, well, whilst I'm doing it, I might as well film it and show you, because it may give you some ideas as well. This is a great project. It's all about upcycling. So we're going to come out with something a bit like this. You need a couple of really basic things. You need a grocery bag. So this is one from our local supermarket, or a gift bag. As you can see, these have got some slightly different handles. You're going to need some cardboard, so something like a cereal box is ideal. And other than that, you're going to need basic things. You're going to need a ruler, some scissors, a pencil and some glue. Now, as you can see, PVA, I buy a big one, so I decant some into a smaller thing to make it easier for me to use. And you're going to need a big glue brush. And basically, that's it. So, where do we start? Step one, you take your grocery bag, and do you know, I love, just before we start, I love upcycling things. And you will know if you watch any of my videos, I have in my mind a series of videos for crafting on a budget, which I'm going to get to. And life's got in the way in the last few weeks. But anyway, I'm going to get to that. But I love upcycling. If I can reuse something rather than buy something new, I will do. So we're going to take a grocery bag or a gift bag. I'm going to use this one today. The only difference really is that they've got slightly different handles. Now this can be any size you like, depends what you've got and what you want to use it for in the end. This one that I've already started, this was a slightly smaller bag, and I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to do this video in two parts. I'm going to show you how to make it, and then I'm going to do another video showing you how to put signatures in, because this one I want to do slightly differently, because I want to use it to store all my postcards from the recent Jelly Postcard Play Challenge by Ceri Griffiths. So that I'll do in a separate video. But anyway, let's get back to basics. Here we go. Got a grocery bag, and you need your scissors. And basically, all you're going to do is you're going to cut down the side seams, across the bottom and up this side seam. So you're splitting the bag in half. You'll end up with two bits. So hopefully you can see. It is the foulest weather day today here in New Zealand. We were really lucky last week. We had some great weather on holiday, although it's our winter. But today and the last couple of days we have had torrential rain, and as some of you may know, we live right on the banks of the river, and the river is in pretty high flood at the moment, so we've got half an eye on that today. Alright, so as you can see, I find it easier to cut down the sides of the bag first and then across the bottom. And if your bag has got lots of layers at the bottom, that's fine. Just cut straight through them. So now you'll see you've got two pieces like that. And you might already see the idea for the bag. Now, if you want a great big journal, like that. That's all you need to do. I'm not sure how big this one would be, so let's have a measure. That's going to be around about A4 size, isn't it, or letter size. If I did it that big, that's going to be 28 centimetres. That'll be the spine. 28 by about 19. So that's going to be quite big. But actually, I'm going to do it and I'm going to show you. Okay, so I've had a little think, and I think that size journal is actually going to be a bit big. So I'm going to show you how to make it a little bit smaller. So you're going to take one side at a time, and basically you're going to fold this so that you get the size journal that you would like. I'm going to use all this paper bag. Now, one of the things I would say is that it's best to keep this distance here and this distance here round about the same, so that you've got your handle in the middle, because we're leaving that. So now you can eyeball that, or you can actually have a little measure. That's about 4 centimetres there. 3.5 there. So if I come out a little bit more, that's just about 4. It doesn't need to be perfect, but keep it about the same. Okay, so get a nice crease along those sides, and then you have to think about, so now that I've folded that in, that's going to be about 19 centimetres that way, and you have to think how long this way. So I'm going to fold the spine in once like that, and I'm going to test that and see how big is that going to be if I do that. So it's going to be roughly square. It's going to be about 19 by 19. So this is going to be the size of our journal, and I quite like that. So all you need to do now is do exactly the same with the other piece, and then you need to cut 2 squares of cardboard which are going to fit inside here. So mine is about 19, as I say, about 19 by 19. Actually, I'm going to do about 19 by just under 19. Okay, so I'm going to cut those pieces of card and come back. Okay, so as you can see, I've folded both pieces of the grocery bag to the same size, and I've cut 2 pieces of cardboard to match. Now, so this is the size that your finished journal is going to be. Now, for me, this is still quite a large one, but that's okay. I think it's good to have a range of different sizes when you're making journals, depending on what you want to do. So we're going to pop those just to the side for the moment, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. These are going to be the spines, and we're going to put one inside the other like that, and this is going to form our journal. Now, as you will see, this is giving quite a wide spine, so you're going to be able to get several signatures in there. If you want it to be smaller, you can cut this down and make it a smaller spine if you want to. But I quite like the nice chunky journals that I can get plenty of things in. All right, so taking one of our pieces at a time, we're going to unfold it, and we're going to stick our pieces of cardboard. And remember, this is just cereal box. We're going to stick our pieces of cardboard, and this is going to form the covers for the journal. Now, I'm going to use PVA glue, as I showed you. I've got an old paintbrush that I use for gluing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue both sides of the cereal box. I'm going to hold it on here. Doesn't matter if the paper bag gets glue on, because we're going to it. Okay, so there we go. I've done both pieces exactly the same. They're all stuck down. I've actually used my bone folder and I've just gone around all the edges. Yep, got glue on it there. I've just gone around all the edges to make sure that they're nice and crisp. And you'll notice here where this folds, there's a little bit of excess here. So before the glue is completely dry, while I can still manoeuvre it a little bit, I'm just going to come in and trim that off. Now, if it doesn't look very fancy, don't panic, because we're going to cover this. So there's our two back and front covers, exactly the same. Now what we're going to do is to turn one of them round so that they're like this, and we're going to overlap what was the bottom of the bag to make the spine. Now I've made a few of these, and it's worth playing around because sometimes one side seems to fit over the top of the other one better. It's just, I guess I'm not ultra precise in folding when I'm doing these, so sometimes you'll find that one perhaps is slightly bigger or just fits better generally. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue those two pieces together to form the spine, and that's going to give us a really nice sturdy spine, and we're going to reinforce that further in a moment. Now I've always found that PVA glue works fine and is strong enough for this. You may choose to use something else, a strong glue. As I say, I've always found PVA is sufficient because we're going to be doing some more reinforcing once this is dry, and don't forget your spine is also going to be stitched through. So as I say, I've never had any problems. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that. I mean, one of the things with PVA is that you don't have to skimp on it because it's reasonably cheap to buy, especially if you buy in bulk like you saw my big thing just now. Okay, so line them up. Hopefully you can see that. Now this is where a couple of sewing clips or bulldog clips come in handy, whatever you happen to have around. I'm a seamstress, so I have these little plastic clips, and I'm just going to clip the ends together like that. And that is our journal cover. So there you go. Right, we're going to leave that to dry. Whilst that one's drying, this is one I've already started, and I'm going to show you how to finish off the inside. All right, so the only difference really is that this one is slightly smaller. So we're going to pop that nice big one away to dry. The other thing you can do is if you've got something heavy, you can stand it in that middle bit, book or something like that, if you're worried about it drying. I've actually got a big pebble that I use as a paperweight, so I might stand that in there. Yeah, and that can just sit flat up there and dry. Okay, so once it's dry, I'm going to come back and you'll see I've written the size of this one on here. This one is 14 centimetres. Oh, it's not actually. Actually, it's 14.5 by 16. Okay, so I've taken off 0.5 centimetre each side. That's right. So that measurement, take off 0.5 centimetre each side, and you need to cut a piece of cardboard to fit each side. We're also going to cut a piece of cardboard to fit down the spine. So get your measurements, cut your cardboard, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. All right, I'm back. So there we go. The pieces are cut. Now, I don't know whether I made it clear just now. What I find easiest to do, and I'm working centimetres, so I'm sorry for those of you who work in inches. I measure this piece, which is going to be the front or the back cover of the journal, and I cut a piece of cardboard 0.5 centimetre smaller both ways. Now I found that that's what works best. All right, now what this is going to do, this is going to strengthen your journal covers, but also it gives you a surface for decorating. Now I've also cut one for the spine, and you will see I ran out of my original cereal packet, and so this is it's like a document folder, cardboard document folder, similar weight cardboard. So you can use anything, any cardboard that you can upcycle. If you haven't got cardboard to upcycle, you can use a 12 by 12 sheet of card. But as I say, if you can upcycle, I always do. All right, now you can decorate these any way you want to. You could collage on them, you could paint, you could stick stickers on them, you can do anything you want. But this particular journal is going to house the cards that I made for Ceri Griffiths' July Postcard Play Challenge, which was all about gel printing. And I will post a link below for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, because it was an amazing challenge that we did last month. So given that that challenge was all about gel printing, I've pulled out a few gel prints which, yeah, maybe weren't that successful, or just I keep everything. So I'm going to use these. I'm going to pick a couple of these, and I'm going to use them to cover the inside of my journal. Do you know what? I might go just with circles. I like this one. Maybe this one, that's nice and bright. So now, as I say, you could collage on these if you haven't got a piece of paper big enough. If you have got a piece of paper big enough, like this, what I suggest you do is to pop your piece of paper on there, making sure you leave enough to fold over. Now, because my gel prints don't come right to the edge, I'm just going to check that that's going to work. Yep. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm snip across the edges just to take out some of that bulk. I should get it right, Jane. Actually, that might be better to glue on first. So again, I'm just going to use PVA. I just realised that if I do it like that, the cardboard could move and I'm going to snip in the wrong place. Slow down and think, Gem. You know, come on. Right. Pop it on. There we go. The other thing to think about when you're using, because you'll notice that I always turn it so that I've got the blank side up. It's partly because I really don't want to do any advertising for cereal or whatever that I may have used, or our local law firm in this case. But if you're doing that, just double check that your paper isn't such that the print will show through. Yeah, I'm just going to braille that one out a little bit because I've got some wrinkles, and that is one of the downsides of using PVA, is that you can get some wrinkles. Personally, it doesn't bother me, but if you're the kind of person who is bothered by something like that, then I would suggest find yourself a glue that's not water-based. Because the water-based ones do tend to give some wrinkles. Okay, so what you'll see is I've glued around the edges and I'm just going to fold all that in. Now I do it like this because it just gives me a nice neat finish. In all honesty, you can decorate your journal any way you want. What I'm going to do in a moment is stick that on there. So I'm going to do exactly the same with this side, and I'm going to cover the spine as well. Now, as I say, if you're matchy type of person and you want things all the same, then that's great. You can cover both pieces with the same pattern. I'm using up what I have for this one. In fact, I'm just looking, and I'm going to swap that out because that's on rice paper that's quite thin. So I'm going to swap it out for this one, which is on ordinary copy paper, and do the front cover. So I'm going to do exactly the same. Okay, so I've cleaned up my workspace and I've got my 3 pieces of covered card ready to go. Now the other thing you can do at this stage, if you want to, you can put a little bit of paint or colour just around the edges. Or you can do that afterwards, depending what you want. Some of these. Now these I found recently, and these are a bit like the woody Stabilos. But I've got to be honest and say they're a cheaper version. So I've been trying these recently. So I think for me, I'm just going to put a little bit of colour just around the edge of each one. Okay, folks, so there you go. One of the things I will say is when you're sticking these on, make sure there is a little gap down here each side, and that's one of the reasons I cut them slightly smaller, because I've just found it works better. Your journal will open and close better. If you bring these pieces right up to the spine, it won't allow your journal to close properly. So bear that in mind. Okay, I'm going to cover this in a piece of plastic and put a heavy book on top, and that way hopefully it's all going to dry flat and it's all going to stick together. So that's all for today, folks. That's your basic journal from a shopping bag or a grocery bag. In the second part of this video, I'm going to be showing you a couple of different ways to put signatures into these. So one of them is just going to be your ordinary signatures, and the other one I'm going to show you, I've devised a little method for making lots of pockets, because as I've said, this one is going to be for all my postcards. And sometimes it's useful to have a journal which is more about storage than it is about pages. So I've figured out a way to do that. So in part 2 of this video, I'll show you how to do that. And of course, with these, you can decorate the outside of your journal in any way you like. So that's all for today, folks. Thank you very much for watching. Please give us a thumbs up if you like what you see. Feel free to ask any questions or leave comments. I love to hear from you. But for today, ka kite anō.